Everyone. So based on reports, Warriors Klay Thompson could get 4-year contract worth 30 to 35 million per year. So according to Chris Mannix, the number sounds reasonable given Thompson's current production and the Warriors' commitment to keeping him, Steph Curry, and Klay Thompson together. Green signed a 4-year, $100 million contract in July. Curry is under contract through 2025-2026 season. Now, look, Klay Thompson, despite all the injuries, despite, the narrative that he's not the same player, which to an extent he isn't, right? He's not the defensive guy he once was. He doesn't have the step that he once did, but he's still coming off of a pretty good season. He averaged just shy of 22 points, 4 rebounds, 2.5 assists. He can still light it up and just go off at any moment, at any time. He's still very valuable, right? And I understand from a Warriors organization perspective, right? You kind of owe it to an extent to Klay, Draymond, and Steph to kind of keep them together. All the championships that they've won together. You have this feeling like every year you're in the conversation. Every year you're close. Every year, like even when people think you're down, all of a sudden you win another championship. And I understand the desire to want to keep him with the organization and have him retire a Golden State Warrior. But the truth of the matter is, I think that they need to move off of him because the Warriors, again, I never want to count them out. I never want to say it's like the Patriots back in the day with Tom Brady. Every year it's like, somebody else is going to boom. Tom Brady and the Patriots win another Super Bowl, right? That's how it is with the Warriors. Every time you think like the Warriors are done, that's it, stick a fork in them, then they end up being in the conversation or end up winning the NBA championship. But Klay Thompson is your best bet to restructure and reshape this roster. Keeping Draymond, I thought was the right choice. I think personally, everything that Draymond brings to that team, he is the second most important player next to Steph Curry. His ability to play make, his ability to kind of be that tough guy, that bully, the vocal leader on that team, on that roster. The intangibles that don't show up on the tape or don't show up in the box scores, the things that happen behind the scenes. Those are the things that I think are very valuable for him. Steph Curry has still shown that he can be absolutely ridiculous, but the reality is it took a, incredible, just Herculean type performance from Steph Curry just to get past the Sacramento Kings last year. And that was also with De'Aaron Fox getting hurt. Like if he doesn't get hurt, what happens? And then they go into the Lakers. Steve Kerr has talked about all offseason that the Lakers exposed the Warriors because of their size and how big they were. And they didn't address that at all, right? They got smaller. Right? And I understand the whole moving off of Jordan Poole. I understand, the Chris Paul thing. I think that they could have gotten more for Jordan Poole. There's a team that would have taken a flyer on Jordan Poole, and I think you could have gotten a better return than Chris Paul. But I understand the idea of Chris Paul. Now you kind of play Steph off the ball, allow him to kind of just be a scorer rather than having to go and drop, 10 assists and 30 points for you to even just be in games. And then Chris Paul also solves the turnover issue that the Warriors have had basically forever, right? But they do need to get size. And maybe a center becomes available at some point. Maybe they can make some moves or they can do something. I just think Klay Thompson, 33 years old, he's only going to get older. So by the time his contract's done, he's going to be 37. And his shooting ability, I think, will age like fine wine, right? He won't have those issues. But I think at some point, you got to move off of Klay. And I think that that's the hard choice that needs to be made, right? You have some nice young pieces. You have, again, Draymond, Steph, right? You got the core of not the big three, but, two of the three. Klay Thompson at least has value and perceived value from many teams in this organization, right? You could probably get more of a return for Klay Thompson than you probably should otherwise because people are still going to look at him and the credibility behind Klay Thompson's name. So you'll probably get a package from somebody that'll take even a flyer on Klay just because it's Klay Thompson. And teams will, one, look at it as like, okay, we make the Warriors weaker, but in reality, you can turn those things or maybe even solve the issue immediately, right? Can you turn Klay Thompson into a center and another complementary piece, right? Like if I was the Warriors, I would look to, whether it's a straight up deal or a multi-team deal, look to go get, can you go get like a Miles Turner, right? Where he's young enough to be a key piece, block shots, add some size, give you some toughness down low, and then also top of that, his ability to rebound, stretch the floor, knock down threes. Could you even get like, Valanciunas and a couple other pieces, right? Now you got big body center that can rebound, go off, give you some easy buckets down in the post, give you a post game once again, right? Like something like that. Can you go get a Karl Anthony Towns, right? If the Minnesota Timberwolves start falling apart again, can you again, whether it's a 3-team deal or a worked out trade, maybe one team gets Klay Thompson, you get some assets, you give up some picks, you maybe give up Moody or something like that, and then go and get Karl Anthony Towns. I don't know, right? But they need to do something. Now, again, I don't want to count them out, but it just feels like they didn't address their biggest needs. Feels like it just feels like they are in this like nostalgia wheel that they need to get out of. I understand, Klay Thompson, what he's done for the organization, what he's done for the franchise. But what's best for the team and the organization? How can you improve and get better? Right? Like Kuminga would be a nice piece, but one, he's not making enough money. And two, like how many teams are giving up the farm to go get Kuminga? You get a lot more for Thompson. Same thing with Wiggins. Like why? But Wiggins was also your second best player in that championship run, and he's still really good. And if he has a full season, can he get back? Right? Again, what if you could go get a center and another really good complementary player to come off the bench or whatever? Like, you'd be in a great spot. And think of it like this. What if you had a starting five? Let's just say you can get Miles Turner, right? Let's just call it Miles Turner, right? What if, hear me out, you had a starting five of Steph Curry, Andrew Wiggins, Jonathan Kuminga, Draymond Green, and you have Miles Turner. You fixed all of your size. You have a crazy defensive lineup. You have scoring ability. You still have shooting. You have versatility. You have everything. You could go small ball and still remain big. Like, that's something that I think could put the Warriors back in contention, especially if Steph can be, heroic still, right? And Andrew Wiggins at the 2 guard can now defend multiple positions. You have switchability. Kuminga's really starting to come into his zone, and he's a real key piece for the future, right? If you can still keep Moses Moody, and like I said, go get another piece, maybe come off the bench, and now you have 8 to 9 guys off the bench that could be really quality. Go get, some cheap backup center or something like that. Or, you could still keep, some of the core guys that you have. Like, at some point, they have to retool this roster. Right? And if you can go get, like Klay Thompson gives you the best outlet to go make that happen. Again, maybe the Pacers don't want Klay because they're a younger team and they're trying to whatever. Or maybe they do. Like, what if you could work something out where you get Buddy Hield and Miles Turner? Right? So now you get Buddy Hield. Now you have Buddy Hield off the bench. Right? And you have that starting five I talked about with Moses Moody and stuff like that. Like, or what if they don't? Okay, they don't want Klay. Right? Find another team that wants Klay that you can give the assets and swap to go get the a Miles Turner or something like that. Or maybe you're giving up a Moses Moody to go get a Miles Turner, and then you're getting other pieces for Klay Thompson. And now, again, you have the same 5 that I mentioned, but now you got 4 or 5 guys that can come off the bench and kind of add some depth and versatility. Also, that team wouldn't have to be so reliant on Steph to be heroic, right? Because you'd have young athletes, you'd have key pieces, you'd have guys, and you'd still have Draymond and Steph, who are the 2 key important pieces. You're bigger now. Right? I mean, literally, you have Wiggins, who's what, 6'7", 6'8". You got Kuminga, who's 6'8". You got Draymond, who's 6'8", right? Or 6'7", right? And then you got a Miles Turner, who's 7 feet. Like, you're going to be good defensively. You have tons of switchability. You still have shooting with Kuminga, Wiggins. Yeah, they're not Klay Thompson, but still, like, you'd still be very good. I think you'd kind of move into this area, like, that'd be good enough. And then, once you get into the end of Steph's career, you can kind of retool and maybe at that point get younger, because you'd have a Miles Turner who, say 3 years from now would still only be like 30. So you could unload him and get some pieces. Andrew Wiggins would still be what, like 31, 32, something like that, right? Like you could go and get him and go get some pieces for him, or go get a young player or something, right? And just I think that that's the best approach, personally. I think that that's the direction that they need to start looking into. But those are my thoughts and opinions, and as always, I pass the question on to you. Let me know yours down in the comments below. What do you think? Do you agree? Do you think, like, at some point you got to get off Klay Thompson? He's your best opportunity to kind of right the ship if you're the Warriors? Do you think, no, you got to keep Klay, keep the big three together, and figure it out? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it, so let me know down in the comments below.